Welcome to Evil Genius. This is a 16-year-old game, so pardon the recording quality. I wanted to talk about why this game is considered a base building classic. If you're not a base builder, you might be like, because it's good, right? That's why games are considered classics. But if you've ever played Evil Genius, you know damn well that it's not good. It is, at best, horribly flawed, and even its fanboys will agree on that. So why is it considered a classic? Because it does one thing better than any other game. I've never seen this thing copied properly, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what makes Evil Genius genius. Let's get to it. Here is a mid-game First Island base. You can see it's full of people. I've got various kinds of rooms. Everything's ticking over nicely. Fairly standard base building fare. And over here you can see some enemies wandering around. And, that's also fairly standard fare. You've got to defend your base from intruders. Here's a bunch of them. And that's standard, right? It might be goblins or dragons or giant robot octopuses. Whatever it happens to be, you've always got something that you need to defend yourself from. So far, nothing special, right? Well, how about the traps, right? Well, they're not very special either. The thing that's special is how the enemies work. Trying to get your base to defend against enemies is like trying to pick up frozen peas with chopsticks. Because the enemies are mixed in with your own crew. They're not usually immediately violent. They only turn violent when they spot something that is illegal. And that means that they're usually mixed in with your own crew members. And they're not easy to filter out. Like this door here locks behind my crew, but as you can see, they pass through so frequently that the enemy can just walk in after them. That one was a little bit slow, but there she goes. She just hacked the door open and she got through. Because they can't be easily separated, it's very challenging to deal with them. The traps are the same way. If you set off a trap, it's going to hit your people as well as their people. Which, Evil Genius style, yeah, you lose a couple of minions, whatever. But you can't keep doing that. You can't keep hitting all your people with traps. Even if they're non-lethal traps, you're going to end up with 100 people on the ground doing nothing because they got hit by magic bees or whatever your trap is. This is why the game is so compelling. You're using some really, really blunt approaches that can't distinguish between enemy and ally to try and get the enemies and the allies distinguished. Moreover, you generally don't want to kill the invaders, because if you kill them, your heat goes up. They don't go home. People wonder, what happened to that guy we sent? But if you waste enough of their time, they'll go home. And they'll be like, well, there was nothing weird on the island, so I guess that was a bust, and your heat goes down. This is a very, very basic approach, which allows the player to sort of set up some tiering, sort of set up how they want to do things. But if you played this game and just thought that you needed to kill all the enemies, you might have found that you were getting swamped by endless waves of ever greater enemies. Well, that's because you killed them. So that's why I've got all these non-lethal traps. I have almost no lethal traps. The only lethal traps I've got are for when people dig in from the outside, because I figure if they're coming in through the walls, I'll just kill them off, call it a day. This is an approach I haven't seen used before. Now, obviously, there are base building games with non-lethal invaders. For example, if you're building a theme park, you generally don't want to kill off the theme park riders, unless you're just looking to have a good time. So that's not what's special. What's special is the way that it's all mixed together and can't be filtered. Not easily. It makes for an incredibly compelling base system, because you have to be able to build a base where your people can do their jobs, but at the same time, enemies are constantly coming in, attached to your people, sneaking in after your people. And the tools they give you to do it. Like, for example, you might think, oh, well, yeah, you didn't mention tags. These tags are person-specific, right? So you can just tag someone for distraction or murder or whatever. Yeah, but if you tag someone, then your people come over to do something, which puts you and them in the same place again. That's why I've got these traps turned off, because otherwise they would constantly be triggering, and there would be a huge pile of exhausted lackeys on the floor here. It's a very touchy way to create a game. It works marvelously. It's endlessly compelling, and it keeps mutating. For example, now we've got these dudes here, which are agents of, I forget which country, whatever that one is, and their special skill is that they will shoot anything that triggers a trap. So they'll shoot pressure plates and movement sensors and all that stuff, and it's super annoying because they'll blow them up. And not only, when you blow up a thing like that, not only does it go away, it also explodes violently, lights the dudes on fire, and then they get upset that you lit them on fire. So that's why I've got these traps, which is just a sensor behind a door, and the trap it triggers is actually outside of the room. It works great. That's why there's some dude hanging around here. So this is the sort of thinking that you get when you're trying to figure out how to separate these people out, how to deal with them without hurting your own people too much. It's endlessly fascinating, and it's something that I want to see more in these kinds of games. It really adds a lot of depth to the base, and this is something that you don't see a lot of. In most base building games, your insides are your insides, your outsides are your outsides, and there's some kind of membrane that you hope people, that's where you stop all the invaders. But in this case, you have to build your insides knowing that the invaders might come in quite deep. How do you do that? You have to make, considerations. In this case, I've focused very, very hard on the outer membrane here, but even that is hard to do, just because the traps will catch your own people. See there, you can see some of my own people got caught in that trap. That's why people play this game, even though it is bad. That's why people sink in hundreds of hours into this horribly flawed, obnoxious game. And that's all. See you around.